Hi, I'm Christie Steiger from Innovative Wellness Center, and I'm here at the BA Q1 Summit with Jeff Luzzi.
Hi, I'm Jeff Luzzi with Terra Rosa Family Office. Looking forward to having a great conversation about longevity.
Yeah. So, Jeff, how did you get started in the longevity space?
It's been an interesting journey. I actually went through being very frustrated with the traditional healthcare system, and I was advised to go to the Amen Clinic to get my brain scanned. I'm sure I was given that reason for a number of reasons because people get my head examined. But nonetheless, it started me along this journey because it gave me a lot of information and data that I'd never had before. And it ultimately led me to being introduced to a doctor that essentially, who's actually presented here at BA before, Dr. Morgan Rogers. And he essentially saved my life. I probably would have stroked out or had a heart attack if it wasn't for him and his brilliance when it comes to oxygen therapy and robotics and things of that nature. And as a result of that, I've been exposed to more and more opportunities within the longevity space. And I now have a pretty big project that I'm now working on that we can talk about later. So
yeah. It's pretty amazing in functional medicine. Most people have a story where it personally affected us. And so, yeah, that's the same for me. 10 years ago, I got really sick. I was always a very healthy child, no medical issues, nothing notable. And I almost overnight, it felt like I've always had a photographic memory. I didn't feel like myself. You're going to the doctor and you're trying to explain like why your personality feels different, why, I gained like 60 to 70 pounds, but my lab work looked fine in their eyes. And so they're just sitting there telling you like everything's fine. So I went from doctor to doctor to doctor and just felt like I was exhausting all of my resources. And they kept giving me medication. And to be fair, like when I felt that way, if I would have taken something and it would have worked, I would have just stayed on it.
Yeah.
But within a day of me taking something, I almost felt worse. And it was just like God had a different plan and trajectory for my life. And I wasn't going to settle for that. And so I went back to school for 3.5 years, got a functional medicine certification.
Oh, wow.
And like buying a new car, you start seeing it everywhere. And so I just felt like everywhere that I turned, people were having the same experience that I was having. And I knew that I had solutions. So when I can help people and I have an answer, I love giving, I love helping. And I started small. I just wanted like $50 a week to spend at Target when I stayed home with my kids. And it has snowballed into us opening a clinic. We have an online clinic. And then I went back and really studied quantum physics to really get at that cellular level, because I think that functional medicine is great, but I think that there's more than just functional medicine. So.
No, that story sounds similar to mine, but different journeys. And I hear it everywhere. People that are dissatisfied with the answers and the prescription that their traditional medicine doctor has been giving them. And I always tell people nowadays, I said, if you're only getting advice from the traditional healthcare space and you're not talking to a naturopath or some kind of functional medicine practitioner, you're not getting the whole story.
Correct.
And there's just too much evidence now out there that you're going to make less than the best decision if you're only getting information from one spot.
Yeah. And I really want to change the trajectory of healthcare. The testing that we use, we have a proprietary testing that utilizes the quantum physics element. But what we do is we take that comprehensive lab testing that most functional medicine providers provide, and then we layer in the quantum piece. And the reason that that's important is because there's always going to be markers that are off. And in functional medicine, what you do is you go and you collect all of these different comprehensive labs from specialized laboratories, whether it's heavy metals or mold or stool samples and gut health. But with quantum physics, you can actually tell immediately if that person's priority is heavy metals or parasites or gut related. And then you can allocate all the resource to then dive deep into that area. And so that's really what we do at our office. And it's great. Tell us a little bit about your project too.
Yeah. Real quick on kind of your journey. And really, functional medicine is really a commitment to a journey to resolving and peeling down the layers of getting to the root cause of a lot of these issues. It's not a quick fix, take one pill and you feel better, and then you've got all the side effects that you hear on TV of every medication that's out there. If you want to do that, then that's one journey. But like, if you truly want to get to the root cause of things and really solve problems in a systemic way, what you're talking about is what a lot of people aren't doing. They're not doing the testing.
Yeah.
They're not standardizing protocols. And it's just, I call it modality madness, right? So it's like,
So true.
I'm cold plunging and I'm this, and how many minutes do I sit in the cold plunge? And how much sauna? Do I do it back to back? Do I do it with, jumping up and down? I mean, there's so many crazy things that are out there, and they're all good and they're all helpful. But like, if there's not the right kind of testing and discipline and commitment to the journey, at the end of the day, like for me, I've been doing this for 12 years now. I couldn't tell you for a number of years what was working and what wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying everything, and no one was really had that discipline to say, hey, Jeff, okay, do this and do that. And we're going to test, and then keep doing these things. And then we're going to test again. And then we'll start solving problems and knocking things off the list over time until you actually reach whatever goals you're trying to achieve. That's the way this journey really should be. And right now, you get people talking about 1,000 different ways of solving it, and they're either not testing and they're just modality focused. I went to a place the other day, no testing, but they have the coolest modalities, like the coolest hyperbaric and the coolest thing that's got neon lights and this and TVs inside of it and all this stuff. And I'm like,
yeah.
Show me some outcomes.
Right.
Show me where you've changed somebody's life. Show me where this, and they don't have any of that stuff. They say all the stuff that the manufacturer says, which is, oh, you can do this, or it's known to do this and that, but I can't make any claims, but it's this and this and this. It's like all the generic stuff. And so that space, I think now, is a modality madness. Too much stuff. There's not enough discipline, not enough adults in the room, and people are acting like they're really functional medicine people and that have the pedigree, but they're not really. They're not doing their patients, providing the full service that they really should be providing, and that they're going to command over time. They're going to expect outcomes in the not too distant future. And if you're not providing it, you're going to have a bunch of hyperbarics that just are going to collect dust because you're not doing it the right way.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. One of the reasons I was out on my own and worked in chiropractic offices for 6 years. And again, I was just doing things very part-time, and it just continued to snowball, and I needed my whole team. We now have 14 employees, and we have 3 providers that work for us. And it's so important because it's outside of my scope to diagnose, but people need those diagnoses. They need real, true providers that are looking at their numbers, that are saying, like, this is the medication that you're on now. We can actually get you off if you do this, that, and the other.
100%.
And so we believe in all of the testing. And I do think that I don't want functional medicine to become overregulated. But because there is no regulation, there's people that are out there that have taken a weekend course that are claiming to be functional medicine.
Right.
And it's so much deeper than that. And it does kind of give a bad name in some situations to like the entire encompassing direction that the country needs to take. And us working together with medical providers in functional medicine is like one of my biggest passions, like just creating that unity because we are better together. Like people that understand functional medicine, I train doctors all the time, and they will be the first people to admit we never learned any of this in school.
Right.
Like we love this. We want more tools in our toolbox. Can you help us? And when they start to learn, it's just more logical than what they really did learn when they were in school. Nutrition and learning about cellular energy and all matter is made out of cells. When we add that quantum piece too, it's just like, yes, it's logical.
No, you're 1,000% right. Everybody who has that kind of mentality, I think, are going to be the winners in this space. And the more that the traditional healthcare space doesn't look at it as competition or competing for the narrative, and they embrace it, I think they're going to find that they're going to deliver the best possible outcomes. Patients are going to start trusting the system more. And, wellness is actually going to mean something, as opposed to, as I say, the traditional healthcare space is too focused on survival and not enough on thriving. Right. And really, I think with the right kind of protocols, you can get into a thriving situation with, humanity as a whole, which then gets back to my project, which is, I didn't need another full-time job. For anybody who knows me, I've got my own fund, and I'm in technology, and I'm plenty busy, too busy, quite frankly, which is why I had the conditions I'm kind of working through. But I'm now passionate about this because I think that it's essential for humanity that this type of technology, this type of medicine and knowledge needs to be out there and trusted, and it's not. And the concern that I've had is that it's not at scale.
Yep.
That it's not at scale and not being done right. And so I've now, aligned myself, I think, with the right group of people that have the right vision for taking this thing on a national basis to be the kind of the largest functional medicine network in the country that is committed to testing, being disciplined about testing, not being crazy about any one particular modality, but really about producing outcomes for clients, outcomes for patients, embracing traditional medicine as long as there's the right kind of, mutual respect. And they really are taking this space by storm. One of the guys or the guy that's the CEO of this particular opportunity, he's been close personal friends with Tony Robbins when Tony Robbins didn't have a dollar to his name, and he's an equity holder in the company, and the company's been able to actually extend Tony Robbins' career. For some of you that know, he kind of was hanging up his shingles a little bit because he was in too much pain, and he didn't have the energy and the ability to kind of do what he does anymore. And because of Quellav and this opportunity and what they've been trying to build, it's given Tony a new lease on life, and he's a believer, and he wants to actually dominate this space. And so for folks that have seen him invest in Fountain Life, which is for the ultra rich and people that are way out of our league probably, but then now they have this middle layer that is kind of helping out kind of for everybody else. And so, the more I think his message is, I want to bring this really to the masses and have a massive impact and kind of shake up, how people that are non-believers and turn them into believers, or at least open to the possibility that there could be something different than what their, primary care physician has been telling them for all these years.
Right.
I mean, I still go into battles with my dad. He'll tell me, he goes, well, my blood panel's great. My blood work's good. My doctor says this and that. And then I show him, my blood work and my numbers. And he's like, why is there all these pages? And why is there all this stuff? Like, what's going on here? Why don't I have any of this stuff? I go, because you're only getting part of the story. They only if you can bill through insurance, that's what you're going to get tested on. Other than that, they're not going to do it. He's like, I can't believe this. I go, that's the reality of it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to change. Level the playing field, standard of care across the board, put functional medicine on a level playing field, and let's play together nicely.
Yeah, I love that. So what was one of the biggest things that you did in your journey that you noticed that changed some of the markers on your testing?
Oh, well, I will tell you early on, what is it? CRP, right? CRP is probably the big inflammation index, right? Yeah. Man, mine was high. It was super high. And we tried a bunch of different things, and it just wasn't moving the needle. And then honestly, one of the things I added, and I kept everything else the same, was sauna. A commitment to real regular sauna, probably 3-4 days a week, 45-minute sessions, and it was crazy. I went to actually a normal, like from I don't know the exact number. I thought it was like 21, which is like crazy.
Wow, that's
high.
high.
And then I was like in single digits, and my naturopath was like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "I just added this," and she's like, "Okay." Because I was able to get it down a little bit by using a technology called CVAC, which not a lot of people know. It's like the opposite of hyperbarics. It actually uses altitude and oxygen deprivation. But
did you use a bike with it?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just a pod, CVAC pod. And so I did that, which is what a lot of combat sport guys use for accelerating recovery. Yep. And so it reduces inflammation. So that combined with sauna, I think was really what kicked it and got me in the normal ranges.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. I'm such a math and science person and always have been.
It's great.
So it's really fun to start to see the numbers change. And I do think that's important. I think the journey can be long and your body can only tolerate so much, detoxification at a time. And I feel like that's the nice and kind way to treat the human body anyways. People come in and they have 4 decades of toxicity buildup and they want to like reduce all of that in 30 days. And it's just like, there's no way.
No.
I mean, your body can only take in so many inputs anyways of nutrients, and you want to make sure that you can actually receive that at the cellular level so then the body can start to dump and detox and get all of that out. So setting the expectation of this is a journey is huge, and it's a lifestyle, really. I mean,
but it'll keep you from being dependent upon medication.
Yes.
And that your life deteriorating over time. Like medication doesn't ever solve the root cause. And I was just talking to this guy, who's entertaining and listening to us right now. We're talking about NAD and just some of the statistics about, from the time you're 20 to the time you're like in the 40s or 50s, your NAD goes down by like 70%.
Mm-hmm.
And like everything gets linked back to NAD. It powers your brain. It powers this. It powers that. And so wherever you're genetically predisposed to have problems or if things start to break down, like if you have the right amount of energy, like your body can defend itself and do what it does naturally if it has the right energy. And so if all you did was fix and resolve and make sure you had a sufficient amount of energy and good quality energy, like NAD and kind of getting those reserves and making sure your mitochondria is right, that would resolve probably a lot of the downstream negative things that end up happening by your body just not having that energy source.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the testing that you guys are utilizing, is it traditional lab draws?
So we have lab draws, and then it's also saliva. It's also stool thing, all the normal stuff. There's also we use a device that there's a company called Massimo who is in the oxygen space, the oxygen diagnostic space, and so we have a system where we test the gases inside the system as well and how they're functioning and they're interacting with each other, because you got to make sure that you're delivering not only is you have oxygen at your finger, but actually is it getting utilized within your body the right way? Is it being distributed the right way throughout your system? And so the Massimo technology allows us to kind of monitor that and test that as well, and then see that improve over time. So between all those kind of testing and that's predominantly what we focus on.
And then how often? So people come in and they do like a comprehensive lab and the oxygen testing and stool samples and saliva. And how often do they do those things?
Yeah, I mean, most of those you don't have to really, and then also DNA. That's obviously huge. So most of those you really only have to do once, depending upon what it comes back with. Like if you don't really have heavy metals from day one, what we're going to do, whatever your protocol is probably not going to need you to be testing for that in the future, right? But we definitely do the blood and the oxygen testing or gases testing probably every 90 days to 6 months, depending upon the severity of the situation and how committed somebody is. At least every 6 months, I think, is just good hygiene.
I agree.
You go a year, there's a lot of things that happen in a year, but that's more of like a maintenance mode, I think, more of a thing, like you've achieved human optimization. And then, at that point, you're in more of a maintenance mode kind of thing, because you kind of know what you need to do to maintain yourself. But if you're in a bad situation, probably every 90 days is good practice until you're kind of in a stable spot.
After doing this for 8 years, I would say the once a year is not sufficient. And the reason is because you never know. Like, did they go to a party the night before? Were they sick last week? I can't tell you how many people will come into our office to get their labs drawn. And they're like, I sit down with them a week later after we get the results, and they tell me things like, oh, well, the night before we had gotten back from Europe from 14 days. And it's like, well, this probably isn't, I'm thinking this isn't like the best snapshot of your life, of what's actually going on, or, oh, I had the flu when I did that. Or it's like, so seeing those twice a year, I feel like will give you you'll compile their data a little more accurately.
I would totally agree with that. I mean, I think that's very smart.
So yeah, that's great. Well, I think I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great project. I know this is going out to the BA folks, and I've been telling certain people about the story and what we're looking for. They're looking to take this thing public, given their strategy and what they're looking to accomplish. And if anybody's ever taken a company public before, you have to meet certain criteria, and they're going to go on the York Stock Exchange. And so they're looking for this. They kind of carved out this little pre-IPO round. Where it's really not about the cash, it's really about they need 500 investors in order to meet the criteria in order to go public. And so, whether you write a $10,000 check or $7,000 check, it doesn't really matter. Now, if you write a bigger check, then they're going to offer you better discounts and better things in all their clinics. So there's perks for, investing a little bit more, but that's really not the point. But I've had a lot of warm reception to the opportunity at this point by being on the same cap table as Tony Robbins, or being part of this movement where people have one location or they have a couple locations. They're like, man, I'm just not making enough impact, or I can only do so much, with my location. I want to do more. Like we'll talk about your nonprofit, because You have a location, you're like, I want to do more. And how do I have a bigger impact?
Yeah.
And so, this is an opportunity, I think, for a lot of people that are in the space or that are passionate about the space or benefit from the space to say, I can now invest in it in a way that doesn't cost me a lot of money, that I can say I was part of it in a meaningful way and actually have an exit that hopefully happens, sometime this year, and be part of this journey in a meaningful way. And so that's what we're looking to accomplish. We're trying to get 500 people that are like-minded like you and I, and have them jump on aboard the journey that this thing's going to go on.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I would love to talk to you guys about the testing that we use, because I really am a firm believer that the reason I got into the quantum testing is because traditionally you have to do all of these tests to rule everything out.
Yep.
And then you realize that you just spent $500 on this test and $500 on this test, and they weren't applicable to your unique body.
100%.
So with quantum testing, the reason that I love it is you get pretty much instant results. You don't have to wait 4 weeks for all the tests to come back.
That's great.
And it will tell you this person's top priority is parasites, or it is heavy metals, or it is this or that. And then you can have them do the testing that is for that particular thing. And you usually hit the money on the head, and then you go with your protocol.
That's super smart.
So, and
Super
we
smart.
offer the white label option for businesses that have distribution so that it can be all part of their branded program. But yeah, going back to giving back, I also...
Yeah, this nonprofit. Tell me about that.
I'm really well known in our city for what I do. I've done it long enough
You're
now
a big
that
deal. You're a big deal. People know me. People like me.
Yeah, they come over. They know I'm on the commercials. They see, and they've heard about me helping people. But because it's cash pay, the insurance companies won't pay for it. When people come up to you and they don't have the means to pay for it, but they need help, like, what do you do? And so it's just been something that's on my heart. And because God was such a big part of my healing journey, I just felt like I was so desperate. I literally felt like I was dying. And I never even once considered functional medicine. I didn't even know what it was. I just lived a happy, healthy life. Like, I never needed to go to the doctor. So then all of a sudden, when your whole health is crumbling and there's no answers, the only place I went back to was my faith. And I've realized that sitting across the table from patients, when people are so sick, they're so hopeless. And so for 2 reasons, I just want to strengthen people spiritually, but then also find a way for the people that truly can't afford it. And I feel like they should have access to this. We've created a nonprofit that we partner with, and it's called Christ Clinic, but they provide medical care for people that can't afford it. And we're in the same building as them. So if they were to ever need any of our technology for some of those patients, we have a hyperbaric chamber there. So if somebody had severe burns, they could put them in our chamber to help that healing process. But it's a great way for people to help fund this mission so that we can continue to give back to people and start to see the change. It's going to take all of us working together.
Yeah.
To just re-educate people that the lifestyle that they're living isn't going to equal, happy, healthy vibrancy, good quality sleep, healthy hormone balance, So.
Well, the nice thing about it is there's a lot of money that's being donated to hospitals and organizations and things like that because they believe in that traditional medicine philosophy. And so if we can legitimize and get people to be more aware and educated about longevity space, functional medicine, and that it's got its place too, and it's almost as legitimate, if not more legitimate in some cases, as a way of solving problems, then I think that there's a ton of money that could be shifted in this direction to do exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We just have to get the momentum together, and being able to create that partnership and give back is just huge.
Well, it's been a pleasure being
great.
interviewed by you and learning more about you. I didn't know you until yesterday, and I could just tell that you and I had something to talk about.
Yeah.
It was really important.